But all of us understand how important John was to each and every one of us. He had a special way, special caring that just lit up the world, lit up the lives around him. Each time that I met him, he was always smiling, but on the go. That was how he was. He always had something to do, someplace to be. So I'm going to let the family share their first parts of this, and then I will finish up with some of the things he meant to our church. So Elizabeth, would you please come up?
This is a poem that my grandpa memorized and recited to us, one of his grandchildren, on one of our birthdays. Oh, child of my child, hope of my hopes, dream of my dreams, you are born of my past en route to your future. Even though you will learn what I only imagined, experience what I only supposed, grow wise in things I only guessed. Let me share this space and place with you. Only then can I trust the future I will not live to see. For no matter what riches I amass in the world, you, the child of a child, are my truest legacy.
At this time, I would ask Barrett Wise to come up and share his.
I've been asked to read this on behalf of John and Ginny's grandchildren and their children. Our dad lived every day the fullest and never took one day for granted. He was a very positive person who understood the fragility of life and what gift it was. His family was his world, and nothing brought him more pleasure, well, maybe except for golf, than going to one of his children's or grandchildren's events. No distance was too far for Dad, making trips to Long Island to see Ryan and his family, Buffalo to watch Elizabeth compete in regattas, Massachusetts to see Leah's ceremony that signified her entrance into the Doctor of Pharmacy program, and Kara, most recently in Connecticut, to watch a Yale versus Harvard football game. When Ryan was explaining to Olivia Grace, his 4-year-old daughter, what had happened to Grampy, her response was, "I know, Daddy. He's up in heaven with Jesus." Later, when playing I Spy in the car while heading to Oswego, Olivia Grace commented, "I see something blue. It's Grampy's shirt. He's in heaven." If there's one thing Dad treasured, it was spending time with Mom, us and our children. During the summer, if Leah, Kara, Elizabeth, or Andrew were water skiing, tubing, jet skiing, or kayaking, you could bet Dad would be down by the water, watching, and frequently would have his camera out, knowing to capture the memory was so important. Many a morning, Dad would be seen walking by our camps due to being so proactive about his health and wellness. We would know when he was going by, since Trooper, our black lab, with his sixth sense, would be looking out our camp door, whining to see Grampy. Knowing he would have a biscuit, or two, or three, in his pocket for him. Dad loved Trooper, and Trooper loved Dad. Madeline is his other grand dog, also knew that she could count on him for treats and look forward to his visits. This past summer, Dad loved the fact that Bob and Andrew were working on replacing the shed roofs together, and he frequently commented how great it was to look over and see father and son working together side by side. Ryan remembers many long mornings being summoned outside by Dad to help with painting, chopping wood, mowing the lawn, or whatever the task of the day may have been. But through this, we learned a strong work ethic, which we still subscribe to today. Dad and Mom's work ethic is something that was instilled in all of us at a very young age. We were raised not to be quitters or let the barriers that life throws at you interfere with the work responsibilities or everyday tasks that need to be completed. Andrew decided to go to school on Friday, and this was his reasoning. That's what Grandpa wanted me to have done. While Elizabeth College is closer in proximity, Leah and Kara had made the difficult decision to remain at their respective universities due to the timing of this unforeseen event in order to focus on their studies prior to finals week. Communication with all of us was important to Dad. He was slow moving into the technological age, but he became a proficient texter, knowing that this was Rachel and the grandkids' preferred mode of communication. However, he looked forward to Becky's nightly phone calls and would comment to Mom when the phone would ring saying, "There is Becky. Put the phone on speaker." It is amazing the joy in a little thing like a nightly phone call or text would bring Dad. He loved knowing what was going on in our lives and how we could be supportive. Dad was always concerned about taking time every day to appreciate life and the gifts with which we have been blessed. Those things he would mention were always family and health. When asked what he would like for Christmas this year, he said, "The only thing I want is good health." He knew material things are just that, material things. It is not to say he didn't like a good set of golf clubs or to play a challenging golf course with his lifelong partner of 38 years, Sparky. He also treasured the times with Ryan, or when Ryan would visit in the summer to play at the Pines with him. He loved taking Leah, Elizabeth, Kara, and Andrew to the driving range and the course to impart his knowledge and a love of the game. Dad made sure we were all able to take annual trips to Myrtle Beach, where he traveled with Barbera's, the Kranzes, the Myers, and the Poydocks. This group, known as the Couples, later included the Bakers, and they are still gathering almost daily to continue making memories. Our Grandpa Jerry and Grandpa Herm shared their love of farming with Dad. One way he helped to provide our family during the younger years was by raising beef cows and growing a garden. This meant every morning before work, he was out in the barn doing chores. And again at night, once he got home. It brought him pleasure to make wine from grapes grown on the farm, to serve this to his friends and many social gatherings he and Mom hosted. Our children wanted the following memories of Grampy to share. Leah loved playing pickleball with him. The fact that he called her Rocket Foot during her soccer playing days, and that he took her to ride go-karts with her sister and cousins. Played sharks and minnows in the pool in Myrtle Beach, where she would ride on his shoulders. That he was always interested in how she was doing in school, and that she never had any doubt how much she was loved by him. Kara remembers his constant presence in her life from as far back as she can remember. The fact that he was positive, upbeat, and looked for the bright side in everything. Having him on the soccer game sidelines, even if it was raining and 50 degrees, or in the audience, even if it was a 4th grade squeaky violin concert. His encouragement and patience, teaching her the game of golf he enjoyed so much. And even though he was fiercely competitive in how important it was to play with integrity, and also telling her how often he was proud of her, and always ending every text message he sent, and he sent them often, with "I love you, Grampy." Elizabeth remembers having him make her Grampy specials for breakfast in the morning before Grandma took her to school, driving in his turquoise truck while listening to the CD, "Hands Up, Give Me Your Heart," and his truck driving and his trick driving with his knees, and being affectionately called Biffy by him. Andrew remembers playing ping pong and pool, going cherry and blueberry picking, fishing, splitting, loading, and stacking wood together. And all the times he attended soccer, basketball, lacrosse. He also shared the love of Mom's pot pie, and really any pies that she made. Olivia Grace remembers him catching her in his legs and saying, "I've got you in a trap." We greatly appreciate everyone's attendance today, taking the time to honor our father's memory. Every fiber of his being was focused on his family. And this certainly has been passed on to us. Since we undoubtedly made our children the focus of our lives, we have and will continue to cherish every moment with our children as he did with us. We will build through his legacy a strong family bond that lasts for generations to come.
At this time, Kate Trotter-Mayo is coming up to share.
Again, thank you all for coming. I know the family is very appreciative of the support they're receiving at this time. There are givers and there are takers, and there are a combination of the two. John was definitely a giver, whether it be of his time, his expertise, his compassion, or his love and support of those within his path. John understood what was important in life. He got it, and he shared it with those around him. He was a quintessential host. You never left his table wanting for food or drink. He was renowned for his Christmas breakfast, followed by an unbeatable Christmas dinner. He had already prepared and frozen his scrumptious sausage dressing for this Christmas. John was a planner, and he got things done. Our family enjoyed the meals prepared by John with Ginny's assistance as much as the presents when it came to Christmas traditions. John shared his love and skill in golf with his son and his grandchildren. There was membership on several golf courses, the early mornings at the driving range, and the purchase of the best in clubs. John coached and supported. When his children and grandchildren followed any path, he was there, whether it was a rainy, cold day or a 3-hour drive away. The day before he died, he took Andrew on in a marathon Wii tournament. Wherever their interest lay, he encouraged and supported. Personally, John taught me how to play chess, how to throw a spiral football pass, how to parallel park a car, and later set an example in educational decision-making that benefited students regardless of any other implications. He exemplified the role of a spouse, parent, grandparent, teacher, leader, and friend. This was demonstrated yesterday afternoon and evening with the outpouring of love and respect from the myriad of individuals that he has touched. So many of those paying their respects told of the positive influence John had on them. I was always proud to be able to say that John Ruff was my brother-in-law. I found this advice, and I think John would have approved. I'd like to share it with you. You can shed tears that he is gone, or you can smile that he has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that he has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he would want. Smile, open your eyes, and live on. John, we are going on, and we are better for having known you. As long as we live, you too will live, for now you are a part of us.
At this time, I ask Art Chetney to come up, share some childhood memories.
Yesterday, to see the amount of people that came to pay their respects and say goodbye is a moment that will never be forgotten by anyone. That's that stuff you gave me to put in my mouth. To some of the people, he was John. Others called him Mr. Rough. But to me, he was always Ruffy. My first contact with Ruffy that I can remember was in 6th grade at Kingser Park School in Oswego in 1952. Then on to Oswego High School. We made it through, then to Oswego State. At that time, Ruffy went into the Industrial Arts program, and I went into the Elementary Education program. After college, as most friends do, they begin a new phase of their life. Ruffy gets married, moves to New Haven, has children, then establishes new friends and associates, and goes to work at Watertown to teach. I stayed in Oswego, went to the Mexico school system, 6th grade teacher at Fravor Road, and we meet again for a long and strong friendship. We had many stories about us growing up. Some of them I can't tell at this time, but most of them have been told many, many times, especially when we get together with other friends. Like the time Ruffy's riding home from junior high on his bike, and we yell, "Hey Ruffy, how about a ride?" He turns around, turns his head back to us and says, "Too bad, I'm in a hurry." Now the car in front of him had stopped at the red light while he was looking back at us. Bang! He runs right into the back, his bike right into the back of the car. He's on the road, he's not hurt, but his bike is badly damaged. We yell, "Thanks anyways, we'll walk." Or how about the time we go to a carnival in Oswego and go into the dark fun house? Now, I'm not proud of this incident, but things happen. So Ruffy's leading, and another friend's next, and I'm walking last. Walking into the dark pathway inside, Ruffy starts hitting the walls, moving the roller on the floor fast as he can with his feet to make noise, and he starts yelling, "Something's got me! Something's got me! Something's got me!" Well, our friend, who happened to be behind Ruffy, he panics, and he starts to run out. But now I'm in front of him. Nothing's going to stop him. He knocks me over, and he runs to the entrance. Now I'm laughing so hard, and with a weak bladder, or a full one, it wasn't full anymore. We're outside, and the front of my pants are extremely wet because of laughing so hard. I tell him, I have to go home and change my pants. So what does Ruffy do? He spots some of his classmates, who just happen to be girls, and yells, "Hey, come over! Artie wants to see you!" I take off running home to change my pants. Then there was a time when we were on the junior high basketball team. The coach yelled, "Ruff, go in for Bill." Ruffy's so excited to get into the game, he jumps off the bench and runs right into the court. The coach yells, "John, you got to report to the scorekeeper first before going into the game." We weren't quite good enough to play on the varsity basketball team, but we practiced at home on at his home in Cuba Street. He had a basket attached to the barn in the backyard. We spent many days and nights practicing, playing basketball with the spotlights on. Ruffy had one of the best set shots around, like this. You don't see that anymore. But while playing in the city basketball league for a number of years, together with other friends, we won a few championships. So practice pays off. Then there was the time we went to a high school sectional game in Watertown. We got there by Ruffy driving his father's truck with a mattress in the back, where 4 boys rode to Watertown and back safely. At Mexico, he started by teaching 6th grade math and social studies. We had a great bunch of 6th grade teachers. And we started many activities for the students, such as a NITS academic program, intramural program for all sports, and a student council. Ruffy started the student council and became the advisor. I'm sure the next incident started Ruffy on the path of losing some hair. Mr. Rector, or Sparky, our gym teacher, said he needed $32 to buy intramural ribbons, so we decided to have a fundraiser. We were going to sell the world's finest chocolate bars. About 25 cases. Remember that number. The salesman was such a great spokesman, he talked us into buying a case for every 6th grade student. I blame this on Sparky because I get blamed for enough. Ruffy was the student council advisor, so he had to sign the agreement. So I interrupt one of his classes, put the paper on his desk, and asked him to sign it. He asked me, "How many cases are we buying?" I said, "The spokesman's in a hurry." I said, "Just sign it so we can get going." Well, he signed it, but he seemed to be a little worried. After class, when he found out that he was responsible for 240 cases of world's finest chocolate bars, that's when he started to lose his hair. Remember, we were only originally going to sell 25 cases. But the good news is, we sold them all, and all we wanted was to make $32, and we wound up with $4,000 and didn't know what to do with the money. Well, we ended up purchasing a lot of worthwhile things for the school. Later on, Ruffy became principal of the middle school. I've always said, and I certainly believe it, he had the hardest job in the district. But because of his effort and ability, he made the job of his staff and the people with a higher title above a lot easier. There wasn't a problem he couldn't solve. We had many interesting budget battles, but Ruffy always supported his teacher and staff, and he always did what was best for the students. As someone mentioned, many former students and staff members have expressed to so many people how fortunate they were to have Mr. Ruff as their principal. Students were his #1 priority, making sure they followed the rules and did their schoolwork so that they could become what they were capable of. As middle school principal, he loved his job. He worked at it sometimes 24 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week, to accomplish his goal of always looking out for and helping students. How many principals do you know of that eat their lunch while walking around the cafeteria and the school halls to keep things under control and talking to students? Not many, just Ruffy. Another story which we've repeated a number of times. We're at a Board of Education meeting. It was the day before Easter vacation, and the Russ were heading for Myrtle Beach in the morning. He leaves the meeting early to go home and pack. I have to stay until the end of the meeting. So I get on the phone and I call him. Now I know they're scheduled to be at the motel on Saturday, but I don't know the name of the motel, and I don't want him to recognize my voice. So I try to use a southern accent and mumble the name of the motel. So I say, "Mr. Ruff, Mr. John Ruff, this is Woodland Motel, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina calling. Confirm your reservations." He says, "Yes, okay. Now, Mr. Ruff, you're coming Sunday." He said, "No, we're coming Saturday." I said, "Mr. Ruff, my records show that you'll be here Sunday." No, I already got a reservation." I said, "Well, Mr. Ruff, please let me check." So I kind of hold the phone out, pretending I'm talking to somebody, and I say, "Mr. Ruff says he's coming Saturday." "Oh," I say, "he's going to be mad." So I said, "Mr. Ruff, the Smith family has decided to stay an extra day. He's yelling, they can't do that, I got reservations. I said, now Mr. Ruff, don't get mad at me, I'm only doing my job. He says, let me talk to your boss. I said, okay, so I said, Mr. Ruff wants to talk to you. Then I get back to the phone, my normal voice, and I say, hey Ruffy, what's going on? Oh, you blinkety, 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 blinkety. He actually called me all sorts of names. Would you believe that? He said, I was so upset and mad that I've eaten 3 of the sandwiches we're packing, and Ginny's a nervous wreck. Well, we used to play golf too every Thursday, 18 holes in the morning, lunch, 18 holes in the afternoon. And as they say, Sparky was his golf partner at the Pines for 38 years. So you know what kind of a guy he was to put up with me and Sparky for all those years. What patience and understanding he had to have, a true friend forever. I'm sure you know it, but at times Ruffy could be a little stubborn. Maybe a little more than a little. I have a couple examples, and I'm sure his family can remember a few more, right? We go on a road trip in his van to San Francisco. Ruff's, Chetney's, Rector's. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Hey Ruffy, you want me to drive? No, I'm okay. Ruffy, you want me to drive? No, I'm okay. So who drives all the way to San Francisco and back? Just Ruffy. We're also on one of our golf trips to Turin, which is up north. Ruffy's driving. Says, I know a shortcut. He turns left. Sparky says, the sign says dead end. I know my way. He says, we'll get there earlier. 5 miles down the road, what did we run into? Dead end. We turn around and go back. In his obituary, one statement stood out for me. Integrity is defined as doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Honesty really was another one of John's qualities. Playing golf one day, he had a really bad hole, which everyone has once in a while. I said, I see you had a little trouble. He said, a little? How about a nightmare? What's your score? 13. I says, are you sure? Would I lie about 13, he says? He says, I'm going to give you a 10. No, he says, I had a 13. I deserved it. Honesty. Now, playing golf in Florida, we play a game called a lunch ball when starting out on the first hole. That's an extra shot you can take if your first one is bad. Well, we come to the second hole and he hits a shot in the water. The guys say, hey, John, hit another ball. You didn't take your lunch ball. We don't do that, but that was okay. So he does. Bingo. Right in the hole. John, you had a hole in 1. No, he said, I hit that extra shot. It's only a par. Honesty. This should bring back some people's memories. Coming home from Canada on one of his trips, Ginny buys a rug. She wants Ruffy to hide the rug in the car so they wouldn't have to pay tax on it. Because the tax was probably more than the initial cost of the rug. Ruffy says, Jenny, I'm not going to lie. We'll just pay the tax. I don't care what it is. I don't feel comfortable lying. Well, you know how persuasive Ginny can be. She says, at the border, when the custom attendant comes, he'll ask you, what did you buy in Canada? Just say a few souvenirs. So he practices that on the way. A few souvenirs. A few souvenirs as he's driving. A few souvenirs. Well, they stop at the attendance station. The guy comes out and he says to Ruffy, where you been in Canada? John says, a few souvenirs. ice cream. Honesty almost, but his heart was in the right place. He was a true example of this statement. Do as much as you can for as many people as you can and as often as you can without anything in return. That's Ruffy. He volunteered to help many organizations, the Elks Club, JC's, Buccaneer Boosters, the church. Volunteered at the fire department. So I was walking in, someone told me that he had the worst job at the fire department opening the clams. He used to cut his hand. Nobody else wanted to do it. But he did it and never complained. Elaine, I won't tell anybody who told me that. He also volunteered as a bell ringer at Christmas time, the Retired Teachers Association, and even in Florida, the Spruce Creek Boomers Club. He gave of himself for others on many occasions. But he never wanted anything in return. He'd help you out, but if you could return the favor, you were lucky. He knew something about almost everything. And if he didn't know it, he would work until he figured it out. Electricity, carpentry, woodworking, automobile, plumbing, cooking, and on and on. He knew it all. I know this from experience. If you had trouble with your car, or if you had a water leak, or if you needed help to move to Baldwinsville, who did I call? Ruffy. No problem. I'll be right there, he said. He was a perpetual motion machine, always on the go, especially in the activities or occasions that his children and now his grandchildren were involved with. He was extremely proud of all of them, and we talked about them on many occasions. He's the only one I know who had a list of things to do or wanted to do, but the list never seemed to get shorter. He was a tough act to follow or be like. My wife, there's only one Ruffy. He was a unique person, and because of his many outstanding qualities, which we had mentioned. He was a loyal and true friend who will be dearly missed and never forgotten. As I said before, he was one of a kind. Some people come into our lives and quietly go away. Others stay and leave us fond memories, which will always be with us. He gave strength in time of weakness. He gave courage in time of fear. He gave help to those in need. And he gave love all the time in his own way. You could always turn to Ruffy when you were in need. He was always there for you, and he did the best he could. He left us with many memories to cherish. Goodbye, dear friend. No make it. Until we meet again. Dear friend.
One of the things that Jenny wanted to make sure that we did was let anybody else speak. Share some of the stories, some of the fond memories. So if you do, please raise your hand, and if you want to come up or speak from there, it's whatever your choice is. Come on up and we'll get the... Nope, you can come on up and then we'll kind of get a few of you lined up here.
I don't have any notes. I'm speaking from my heart, and I hope I can get through this. I knew John Ruff for over 65 years. And that's peculiar because I think I'm only 65 years old. John lived about a block from me on West 9th Street. And we used to walk to school together, four of us. Vinnie Savona, Artie Chetney, John Ruff, and me, Jim Bradford. Vinnie was the smartest of all of us. He's no longer with us. Artie was the most verbal, as you can see. We either had to hear about Ted Williams, the Boston Red Sox, or his dog Bingo. I was the rambunctious kid. John was an old soul. I swear he had been on this planet before. We would be arguing or talking about something, and John would intercede, and we'd go, that came from Ruffy? That came from John. He had a gift, wisdom. It goes beyond intelligence. He had a unique way of seeing his world. That's not to say that John wasn't smart. He graduated in the top 10% of his class. He had what we call quiet strength. He didn't say much. But when you walked up to this man, you knew there was somebody of integrity. He would have been a good captain on a ship. Hands on the steering, straight ahead. And you know, he was like a captain, a principal of school, who can juggle teachers, students, parents, Board of Education. John did it with alacrity. Whatever they paid him wasn't enough. He was a true friend. I just wanted you to know a little bit about John from his early years. I want to leave you with this final image of John. Wicker saw a gull. He met Darlene Parsons, who's sitting out there. She was doing some community work that Darlene did. The final thing that John did was give her a warm, loving hug. That was Ruffy. Thank you.
I know there was another couple of hands coming up, so please, come on.
This is very difficult for me. The fact is that I knew John for 52 years, and during the course of that time, we shared many experiences over the course of that time. The important thing about John is how I met him is it was through the JCs 52 years ago when we were doing a project together. And from that time on, what happened is things seemed to get better as it went on. Our paths changed. John went into education and continued with education and moved to New Haven. And in the meantime, what I did is I was in the swiggle and I went in business. But the friendship remained and got stronger as we went along. And during the course of that time, we did many things together. The ironic part about the whole thing is the day before he passed away, that evening, the previous evening, we were texting back and forth about Syracuse University. And the last thing he had said is, boy, do they stink. The other thing is also, is I talked to John numerous times, whether it be about the problems that he had as far as cancer itself is concerned, the problem he had as far as not feeling well sometimes. John was quite an individual. During those courses of all this time, we went many places together, whether it be down in Myrtle Beach, whether it be cross country together. Many of these things we did together and had a fantastic time. John was an individual of integrity. He was an individual that cared about everybody and extremely cared about his family as far as that itself was concerned. And I can remember many times talking to John over the phone or in person about his family and indirectly how proud he was of everyone that existed. He's going to be dearly missed by me and by my family as far as that is concerned. The only thing I can tell you is John, as far as myself is concerned, will never be forgotten. It's a situation whereby on a daily basis, I will say a prayer for him, as I guarantee, and for his family also. And with that there, I thank you.
Any others who want to share? Yes, sir.
I want to make the microphone, my voice carries pretty well. John was a phenomenal leader, and I was privileged to work with him for many years. And God forbid, if you ever sent a paper out on the old mimeograph machine and it wasn't correct, it would be back on your desk. You had to make sure that everybody could read it very, very well. We were very privileged over the years to spend a great deal of time with John and his family. We traveled, as Art pointed out. John and I were golf partners for 38 years, and what a great partner he was. A leader in every match that we played. It's a friendship that developed, loved the family. John always spoke so well of the family, kept me informed constantly. John, as someone has said, will never be forgotten. He was a wonderful guy, wonderful friend, and most of all, the students, I'm sure, will remember all the wonderful things that he provided for them to make them successful in life. Thank you.
Any others? Well, I know that John made an impact in my life. He started coming here with Ginny and became very active in the church. He became one of our trustees, but he also became a friend. It was always good to talk to him about his golfing, and we used to joke that sometimes he wasn't here at church because he was out on the course. He'd get back in town and we'd get good weather and John would be out golfing. And, I can't fault him for that because he was here when he was needed. He was special. Recently I bought a game. It actually combines pool and golf. You actually set it up on the floor with the little putter. You take what was the cue ball and try and hit the other ball and still put the golf ball into the hole. And John says, I have a hard enough time just getting a putter to hit that ball into the hole without trying to figure out doing the other ball. But he was special. He wanted to get things done. If we had a task here at church, he made sure that it didn't just sit by the wayside and talked about, like sometimes happens in church where there's 50 meetings for a 15-minute job. I wanted to make sure the church looked nice and that the people around knew that they were cared for. His buddy Romeo has been battling cancer, just like John. It's interesting that whenever Romeo would be here and we'd get into our joys and concerns, the two of them would look at each other as we got ready to say whose names needed to be lifted up. And if John lifted up Romeo's name, Romeo would, and you too, he'd remind him, or the other way around. John was a gentle person. He always tried to guide people in the right ways without making them feel bad. That wasn't his way. He'd gently guide you and and teach you the right way to do things, encouraging you and lifting you up. Almost like lifting you up on his shoulder and saying, now look at what a wonderful world could be around you. I want to help you. I want to be that special person that shows you how great you can be. Talked to a young lady over in Parish today who remembers John as the principal at the middle school. He was also a principal when her kids were going there. She said, make sure you let the family know how much we care about them. And I think that is true of many students that went through the school. They were touched by a very special person. I can't tell you how many times at church we'd be finishing up and I'd be greeting people and John would be out the door. Always had something else to do. The front of the church where the trees are, John and Ginny made sure that that looked nice every year. And I thank them for that. I thank them for their family, who's been so wonderful to this church. And we hope we can measure up the same way. On John's card here, the poem Afterglow says it so clearly. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when the day is gone. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the way of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of the happy memories that I leave when life is done. Yes, our time with John is over, but only in the physical sense. He touched our hearts. He taught us so many things. To his family, to his grandkids. He's put a permanent mark on your hearts that has changed you forevermore. And there will be times when you get ready to do something and you'll be reminded, this is how John would have done it. This is how John would want us to be. This is how John cared about people. So my memory of him has changed me forever. And I hope that each one of us feels that same way. But I encourage you, this doesn't end here. When you gather after this service with the family, we're at 6 Country Lane in Oswego. Share the stories. Share the memories. Not just today, but throughout the day. There'll be a time you'll get ready to reach for something, and you'll be reminded. Yesterday I was downstairs in the basement looking for something, and there was an old set of golf clubs sitting there. I've never used